Oh, that's right. Not only do I not have a bicycle around the house to use for this review intro, I don't even have a stationary bike. So in the sense of exercising and going places, we have an elliptical machine to talk about Flame Rouge. That's right. Ewan McGregor meets ladies on the street. Actually, that's not what this game is about. It's about bicycling in France. And it's a red, there's a flame, but it's about cards, and you have a team of a rouleur and a boss routin or something like that. It's two French words. I don't know what they are. The rouleur and sprinter or something, sprinteur, something like that. But anyway, silly intro aside, because I know that irritates some of you. I've seen your comments, but I like it. And it's 11 o'clock at night. I've had a cold for 4 days. Just endure just a little bit of irritation as we look right now at the game Flame Rouge. The Stronghold games. It's a win-win. Let's do it. So what is Flame Rouge? Flame Rouge is a game about bicycling in France in the early centuries, because look at that mustache. Nobody except a hipster in Detroit has a mustache like that today. So what is Flame Rouge about, though? Well, let's take a look at the back of the box here, because I'm silly and put it upside down. First thing we notice, like this, a track, right? Sprinter, rouleur, and all this stuff. But instead of looking at the back of the box, let's look inside the game, because the art is fantastic, first of all, and see what this game really is all about. First of all, notice this, 8+ ages, 2 to 4 players, 30 to 45 minutes. I'd say that's pretty accurate. But how do you play this game? Because you obviously saw people playing at Gen Con and all the conferences that I didn't go to, that I'm totally jelly that I didn't go to. But how does it play? Well, it plays just like this. The two different bicyclists each person has on their team. You've got the rouleur, can't put my finger on the frame, and the sprinter, right? One's up, one's down. Great little sculpts, and strangely, the pieces come off their bicycles. I don't know if that's necessary or anything like that, but it looks really cool. Anyway, down there, that's the board. Now here's the thing, the board is modular, and you can change it with all these different pieces of track that you can lay out, and it comes with a bunch of configurations, or you can make your own one like this, which looks kind of like a soup ladle, because apparently you need soup when you're bicycling. Anyway, the fact that this is on the floor is probably driving some of you crazy, and although it's probably not the only thing driving you crazy about this video, probably the fact that I mentioned the fact that things drive you crazy about this video twice is probably driving you crazy. But let's look at how the game actually plays in motion and what each player does on a turn, because you'll see your player boards down there, the red person and the green person, as Carla, my wife, maintains, green wins the game. So let's look at what you do on your turn. So let's talk what you do. First of all, I have to apologize to Bonnecore, because I'm not in fact wearing spandex shorts, because A, I don't own any, and B, no one in the world needs to see that. But we did have a conversation about that, and well, I'm sorry, Steven, but I'll send you a picture later. Anyway, in here, each character, person, color, whatever, gets their own deck of sprinter and rouleur cards. That might not even be the right word, but here's the deal. Forget the colors for a minute. The deck consists of cards like this, each with different numbers on them, things like 5s, 6s, 9s, 3s, 7s, and all that sort of things, right? Sprinter, I think, is a little bit faster. Yeah, that's where those 9 cards come in. These are exhaustion cards. You get these in a couple different ways. I'll explain in just a minute. Here's how this works. On your turn, you're going to draw 4 cards, 1 set of 4 per bicyclist. Now, you do that one at a time. You don't draw all 8 cards and then pick. You draw first the 4 cards for the sprinter or the rouleur, whichever one you want. You pick the card you're going to play, and then you cycle the rest of them. Cycle, I can't figure out if they use the word cycle just because it's a bicycling game, but I would suggest that's probably part of it. Anyway, take the other 3 cards. You can turn them face up under your deck like this, or if you're OCD like the friends I play with who thought that was absolutely ludicrous, including myself, I just kind of discarded it to the top here, face down, obviously. But you know, when you run out of cards, you recycle and you shuffle your deck. Here's the one thing, though. This is what brings the real strategy and challenge into the game, I believe, is the card you play is out of the game. So it's out. So let's say you play this 3. Well, it's totally gone at this point. It's totally gone. I'm just kidding. It's right here. It's totally gone, right? So in essence, let's say you have this plan where you go, well, I'm going to bum rush out of the gate. I'm going to go 7, 7, 7. Well, then you get down to the point where you don't have 7s anymore. You have to think, wow, that was really weird. I didn't play in that. You have things like 4s and 3s. And what if you start getting exhausting cards? Well, then you've got 2s, and then you have this great rush at the beginning of the race, but then you start to slowly fall behind. So let's look at a couple more mechanics that have to do with movement and then the board itself and how you move on the board and see how you win this game, because it's actually a lot more simple than the box and anything makes it look. It's a very simple game. That's all you do. You pick a card and you play it per person, period. You discard out of the game the one you play, and then you go on and do it again and again and again and again. And that's it. There's a couple little rules we'll talk about, like slipstreaming and exhaustion, right now. Okay, so the pack is kind of tight, right? People on the outside right space, the right-hand side, are actually in first place. So this guy would be winning right here, the red rouleur. Anyway, let's just say you've drawn your cards, right? And you're playing them. So the sprinter draws a 5 and a 9. This is the blue team, but you get the idea. Let's say the green team has drawn a 9, the red team has drawn a 5. So red will move 5. 1, 2, 3. Wow, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, interesting thing, we'll talk about these red spaces in a minute. They represent uphill, but you can actually make that movement in a uphill space. I'll talk about what that does in a minute. And then this person will move 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so he gets here to 9 spaces. So, 2 more concepts to talk about. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, whoa, Drake, 2 hairstyles in 1 video? That probably means you messed up in editing and had to reshoot something. Here's the deal. 2 concepts. One, at the end of the term, is called slipstreaming. Slipstreaming is it's a term that has to do with airflows and all that sort of stuff, and sliding up on people and all that sort of thing. What it means is this. Basically, you have packs in the game. So you see how these are divided into 3 packs. 1, 2, 3. What happens is, if there's exactly 1 space in between a pack and the pack in front of it, you will slipstream up. So now, this pack that was here now joins this, makes this its own pack. Now notice there's a space between this pack of 4 that was 2 and this pack up here. Everybody just slides forward. Now you have 1 single pack. The bikers at the front will get an exhaustion card. They didn't slipstream up on anybody. I'm sure it has to do with aerodynamics or something like that. Anyway, these 2 would get the exhaustion cards into their deck. These do not back here. That's how slipstreaming works. One other concept to look at is uphill, downhill. You'll notice the red and blue there on this piece of track. Red is uphill. Basically, it means that you can never go more than 5 spaces on an uphill track. That means whether you're entering it, exiting it, or on it, you cannot go more than 5 spaces. There's even a little point in the rules that says if you're moving 6 spaces and that 6th space would put you into a red, you cannot move into the red on that 6th space because of the whole rule of 5 and the red spaces are uphill. Conversely, blue is downhill. You always get a minimum of 5 to your movement on a downhill. So, interesting to keep in mind. You also cannot slipstream and get exhaustion on uphill. You get exhaustion and you cannot slipstream on uphill. So just note those 2 things, and those are the main mechanics of the game. So now to the question that you're all wondering, however many of you that are still left after me talking about the shorts, obviously. But anyway, here's the question you're wondering. Should you play Flame Rouge? Well, let's talk about the really good things first. Strategy is interesting because the idea of throwing the cards out does make it a little bit more deep, right? This is my favorite part of the game, is the fact that the boards change. No matter what you do, you can have a different experience almost every time. I literally don't know the combination. It's however many factorial time combinations there are to put this together. You basically do the math of how many pieces there are and then multiply it by that number minus 1, that number minus 1. It's a lot. It's a huge number of combinations you can put this together. Plus, these little components of the racers are really great. Cards are simple. This is a good example of a game that you would introduce people to on game night and say, hey, you've been playing Monopoly. You might have played Ticket to Ride. Do you like to bicycle? No? Well, good. This game isn't really like riding a bike at all. It's about playing cards. And there's some really great art. I mean, look at this. Each one of these guys is different. All the teams are different. They have great mustaches and stuff. So I'm conflicted, though, because the game is so very simple. And that's not a negative in the sense if you like that sort of thing. It's not meaty or deep in that sense, though. But what you're doing is, on your turn, you're playing 2 cards. That's it. But, like I said, the decision really comes out to, well, do I want to play this card now, or do I want to play it later? Because if you save it for later, maybe you can get a sprint at the end of the race when everybody only has 5s and 4s and 2s left, and you have a 9, and you go, whoom, and run past everybody. But what if you hold it to the end, and you play that 9 right as you have a big uphill part coming? And then maybe you've wasted your energy. So it's an interesting question. How do you kind of get this game into it a little bit deeper and deeper? And I feel like the more you play, the more of those strategies you're going to see. But In a 4-person game, it is a little bit repetitive in that sense because you do have to kind of, everybody has to pick their card, everybody has to pick their second card, you move, check Slipstream, check Exhaustion, do it again, rinse and repeat until the map is over. And the maps are a little bit long, so that kind of process takes a little bit long. So sometimes it can kind of drag in the middle, but if that's something that you think is going to turn you off, then by all means play something, different. But if it's something that you think that's not going to be a problem, then go for it. This game is gorgeous. Look at this game. And it's Stronghold. They know what they're doing, Finland too. They know what they're doing, and the art's really cool. So it's very easy to get people to play this game. And it is pretty quick too. It's not one of those ones you take a long time doing. So you got that moment in game night when you got people who are coming in who've never played anything before, or you just finished Twilight Imperium 3. Yeah, right. At that point, you'd be ready to shut down for the night. But you say, hey, let's play something a little bit lighter. This is a good example of a light game. Don't come into this thinking, though, that you're going to be playing Formula D or something like that, where you're rolling dice and trying to figure it out. It's much more simple and streamlined, almost slipstreamed, almost simple, like a bicycle is simple compared to a car. Maybe that's why. But that is Flamme Rouge from Stronghold Games. Check it out. Fun, neat little game. I love this stuff, man. That gets me excited because there's so many different combinations. So that's Flamme Rouge. Make sure you check out Stronghold. Bonnecor's a good dude. He is really a good guy. No matter what Tom may say about him or what anybody says about him, really. Good guy. So check it out. That's Flame Rouge. I'm Bryan Drake with the latest retro. We'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.